Let's test cheap versus expensive shin pads. Starting with a comfortability test, and we can see that the surface area on expensive this time was better than cheap, covering more of the shin. We can confirm these results with our slippage test, where again this time expensive manages to slip less than cheap does. That's because obviously it has higher surface area contact. Of course, moving on to our run test, and they both perform relatively equally, but again the fact that it slips less on expensive was slightly better than cheap, but overall they did quite similarly. Next up we have a touch test. This time cheap performs slightly better because it doesn't contact near the boot as much as expensive does, so I have better touch on it. Now we can take a closer look at which one's more breathable over the half an hour that we were playing, and we can see that cheap does slightly worse than expensive, with expensive being cooler. Of course, moving on to our wine glass break test, and they both obviously performed very well here. Neither of the glasses broke and it managed to absorb the shock. We can confirm these results with a slow-mo hammer test, where we can see that energy is transferred into my leg, but relatively equally on both. But as far as feel goes, expensive was slightly better on this actually. So overall today expensive wins, but both do a decent job. Very cool.